Dear teachers and aspiring teachers of our beloved dance, belly dance. I'm Shemiran Ibrahim, and I love teaching belly dance teachers how to express their soul through their teaching to help women in their community learn how to express their soul and their feminine energy and liberate themselves on every level: mind, body, heart, and spirit through the magical, beautiful, alchemical, healing movements and sounds of Middle Eastern dance and music. I believe that belly dance teachers have a higher calling. We are portals for such empowering transformation for the women of our communities. And the world needs this transformation like the desert needs rain. It is the transformation from living predominantly in the head and thinking life to dropping into our hearts and bodies and feeling life and getting in touch with our sensuality, our innate intelligence and wisdom, our pleasure and ability to sense the energy that moves through our bodies, so that we can know that when we are, getting close to burnout or in a dangerous place in our lives or in the wrong place. How else do we find guidance if we're just living from the neck up? Belly dance does this for women and does so much more. It really does liberate and free women from this prison of being stuck in our heads and just doing the right thing and giving and overgiving and not listening to our inner guidance at all. I believe living from the neck up only was last century. The world is ready for the life-changing and empowering paradigm shift that belly dance offers women and girls of all shapes, sizes and ages. If you're called to teach belly dance, you have the ability to inspire the women and girls in your community in this way and so many more ways. We have a deficit of understanding of what true feminine beauty and power is in our societies. Your belly dance classes can be this beautiful, safe space the women and girls in your community can come to and receive a refreshing new message that they don't get from magazines and TV and social media and each other. A message that really resonates from the heart and from the belly and beams her innate beauty out through her skin and out to the world. That's what belly dance does. And it can and has, for so many women around the world, healed these types of disconnections that growing up in our society and our modern world tends to breed misconceptions about what real beauty really is. And belly dance classes just can do so much. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you do as a belly dance teacher and the amazing service you provide to your community. So over the last 12 months, I have coached and mentored teachers and aspiring teachers of our beautiful dance. 48 teachers and aspiring teachers, to be exact, from all over the world. And I've had the joy and privilege to be allowed to be privy to their thoughts and feelings around the dance and around teaching and around where they are at in their teacher journey. It's a very sacred space to be allowed into somebody's inner landscape and to sit with them there for a while and get to see the blocks that might be there get to see and be privy to what's going on inside them that creates what's going on outside them, and to be able to flesh that out together and create a unique roadmap for her to go from where she is to where she wants to be in her dream teaching classes or school. And over the last 12 months, I have had the joy of connecting with teachers and aspiring teachers from all over the world. And that included Chicago, Oklahoma, Nevada, New York City, California, Texas, Atlanta, Pennsylvania, Miami, Nebraska, from the United States. Hello to all my teachers in the States. And Montreal, Ontario, Vancouver, Toronto, and smaller communities such as Whitehorse and Yellowknife in Canada. Hello, Canada. And the women in Europe included Spain, Norway, Germany, Netherlands, England, Ireland, and Greece. Also, every state in our beloved Australia, our lovely neighbours in New Zealand, and China, Vietnam, India, Abu Dhabi, and lastly, Kenya. I've loved connecting with you, and if you're watching this, hello. It's been a lovely 12 months together, and very touching, and very moving to see you move through what holds us back in our sacred soul expression through our businesses and through our classes. That connection between you as a teacher and the ladies and girls, if you allow girls into your school as well, from your community, to be touched by your heart, to be touched by your teacher heart and your teacher spirit, and for them to witness your beauty and your passion for the dance and for the music and for womanhood. And there is such a special connection that happens in class, and there are areas of struggle that I have seen over teaching now for 11 years, teacher training globally, and my beautiful mentoring and coaching students. It's about in class, it's about running the school, it's about what, how you deliver the dance, how you deliver the student journey, how you hold their hand through the journey, how they relate to you and your leadership in class. So much goes into teaching. It's a sacred journey, and I call it that because it's your soul expression in the world. It's what's calling you and keeps calling you. I talk to ladies, and this is the call. I call it the call to teach. And if you've been following what I do and how I teach for a while now, you've probably heard me talk about this for quite some time. The call to teach. So you've heard the call to teach. I speak to ladies, who say I've known this since I was a kid. I've known I want to teach dance. I'm doing this other thing, but I always feel like I just want to be teaching belly dance. I have a full-time job. I'm really busy. I have a family. So many ladies call me, and they've got babies, and they've got, children and responsibilities and jobs, and they're still wanting to answer the sacred call to teach. And that is such an important call for all the reasons I mentioned in the beginning of the video, for all the amazing alchemical benefits our dance provides to women. It's an ancient dance, ancient moves for modern problems. And Yeah, it's just so needed. So when you hear that call to teach, it's really something very important. It's serious. It's your spirit being called, knowing inside of you, and your heart hearing it. So important to bring all of these layers and levels into your understanding and your perception of what's going on. And so I find from all of my teacher training and all the mentoring I do, there's 5 main areas of struggle for belly dance teachers, and I'll be honest, globally. It seems to be, and that's why they've made the top 5 list. Um, they're they're universal, they're prevalent, very common, and even one of them is enough to buckle your teaching dream. Whether you are pre-teaching and you have the natural fears of starting something new, and self-doubt, and do I know enough, and often you don't know enough. Often you do need the training for the nuts and bolts, or whether you be right in the sort of the 1 or 2 years into your teacher journey, or say 5 years into your teacher journey, and some issues are already taking place, some issues are already showing themselves up for you. Often, very often in this phase of a teacher's journey, it's simply like, I just don't have the numbers. I don't know how to get the ladies through the door. And it can be crushing. But there's a whole lot of work that goes into preparing you to do that right and to do it effectively, other than, hey, let's just do a Facebook campaign. We want the voice of your branding and marketing to come right out of your heart. So we'll cover that in a sec. Ladies who are more advanced, I've taught and mentored ladies 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 30 years experience. Amazing, amazing women, just living their passion and being unwavering in their dedication to the dance. And it's such a privilege to work with you. And, often they are pre, in the middle, or post burnout. And burnout is a very, very difficult place. It's a cocktail of depression and anxiety and just inability to get up and do things, and it's like you're in pieces. And often it's just so hard to put those pieces back together on our own. Yeah. So the top 5 areas of struggle and challenge for belly dance teachers, and as a result, the areas that need the most support are okay. So the first one tends to be managing your emotional terrain and fears. These come up from our belief system, both conscious and unconscious, which makes things tricky. And they generate the biggest blocks to thriving in your teaching. There's a body of knowledge we really need to understand in running business and in really creating anything in life. But in terms of business mentoring, and it's the connection between thoughts and emotions and feelings, and then our how that affects our action, and very importantly as well, our inaction. That if we're not totally fully present with this and totally conscious of it, it just shows up as, I've got other things to do, don't have enough time, shows up as laziness or procrastination. They're all manifestations of fear. And we can't get to the next level, be it if you're pre-teaching, it's starting the school. If you're in the middle of your journey, it's ironing out the issues and making your school sing and thrive. If you're in that more advanced, pointy end, and things are really, really tough for you, and you weren't listening to the warning signs, the warning bells, the red flags that happen pre that burnout phase, they were happening, but you're not present enough to pick them up. That's the training there, is to start becoming very aware and very present and in your body and in your center, and really knowing how to up your self-care for teachers so that you have something to give. You can't teach out of an empty cup, and so many teachers who come to me who are in the more advanced stages of their teaching, their cup's empty. It's really really sad to see them and to be there, but also such a privilege and honor to help them move through that and get to regeneration and rejuvenation and falling back in love with their original love of the dance. So it's about balance, and it's about understanding our inner terrain. So that first one really is massive. It's massive, easily overlooked, because we're just so used to our belief system and so used to the emotions that come pumping out of it. They're so used to them that we don't quite, they're a bit like the furniture. We don't really notice them, very often. That's why when we sit down to look at what's happening outside of you, in your teaching, in your business, and we look at it lovingly and pay it loving attention, non-judgmental, loving attention, so we can find the thread and find the original thought processes that are buckling you in those areas, and then we start massaging them gently and with lots of love and lots of self-care to take you to a new place and a better place and steady you in that zone, until you start seeing the new manifestations and the new reality you're after. So that's the first one, and it's big, and so many teachers need help with that. So the second is universal. It's very common, and it's filling your classes. So there's very few teachers I ever speak to who don't have a problem with this. It's massive, obviously. No students, no classes, no teaching. Few students, low energy in the class, very hard to keep it up. You've got rental to pay. You want to take a bit of cash home for your time. You need to be reimbursed for your time. You do need to be paid, and especially if you have a big vision. So your school and your classes need to support you, because then you can put everything you've got in your school and classes, as opposed to have that full-time job or even part-time job to support. We want self-sustainability, we want freedom, we want time freedom, we want money freedom, through our soul expression. And there's many things that are getting in the way of teachers filling their classes. There's point number one, which is her inner beliefs that are creating and often, not allowing her to put herself out there and not having enough visibility. So there are inner blocks, and then there's outer conditions as well. Many places in the world have, you know, can have like a just not a very open feeling towards anything Middle Eastern. So there you are putting out your marketing for Middle Eastern dance, and people don't quite understand it, they don't quite get it, they have no idea of all the good stuff I talked about in the beginning of the video. They just go, oh, Middle Eastern dance, oh, belly dance, and they just, the message doesn't catch. And this really hooks into branding correctly and marketing. And most gorgeous belly dance teachers have a big gap in their knowledge and ability, skill base in terms of how to do this. Not just how to do it sort of traditionally and classically. Okay, I'll get some marketing out there, but to do it in a soul aligned way. So really coming from her own heart, so that the message is so much her out into her community, which brings us to point 3. Point 3 is knowing your heart in your teaching. This is a big area of support needed for so many teachers, and the reason for that is it affects everything. It's your heart and your soul and your spirit that energize your teacher journey. It's what's calling you in the start to start your teacher journey. And if you disconnect from it along the way, because you get bogged down, often as we get bogged down with the action and the doing, and our patriarchal training that says just work harder, put yourself out there, put it out into the world, without much connection to what's really going on in here. And then embedding that into your strategy, then executing. It's a step-by-step process, and the true, authentic, what I call high joy vision. So let's go to the highest joy vision. We want your school to thrill you. We want what you're so soulfully pulling out there into your classes, into your teaching. We want it to give back to you. It's the circle. It's got to come through you and out of you. Reach the women in your community. Reach enough of them to support you, energetically support you, joyfully, in the joy and the energy of it, and also support you financially so you can cover your insurance and your rent and take some home. So to do the marketing and the branding that really sings, that really acts magnetically in your community, because your heart, your soul, your essence, you in the dance, in your teaching, in why you love teaching, in what you believe the dance does for women, in what the dance has done for you. Often it will come from your own story. We infuse that into your branding and your marketing, and that sings, because most people don't market that way. They're they're more straight line, sort of patriarchal system, just suck the soul and the heart out of everything. First of all, we get you in touch with your authentic voice around the dance and around teaching. That's a process of unveiling your heart and soul to you first, your beauty, your inner beauty here around the dance and teaching. You need to, first of all, get very aware of it and deeply honor it. And that's a whole process we do. I do it in mentoring my students. And we don't touch a thing before we've done this. So we're coming energetically from a real high vibration in everything we do, in the message we start creating, in the vision that starts unfolding. And that's the next thing. So your heart has an authentic vision, your soul has an authentic vision for you in the teaching already. That was what was, you heard the call to teach. It's all like already, it's already there. It's a process very much of uncovering, of unveiling it to yourself, and that takes time and step-by-step processing as well. So I work closely with teachers around that, teachers who've lost their joy, lost their connection to their own heart. They got bogged down with the doing and the filling of the classes and the teaching. Often those who do get numbers, to start with, then they're teaching real hard. They're teaching a lot of classes per week, and that can really really start becoming repetitive and Groundhog Day like, and the job there is to re-energize this beautiful teacher by reconnecting her to her heart. And I always liken it to putting a really powerful horse before the carriage, and it pulling the carriage, you jumping into the carriage, and the horse drawing you and the carriage. It's an energetic thing that you just don't understand until it's happened to you. Before that, you're behind the carriage, there's no horse, and you're pushing the carriage. And just imagine the energy that takes. That's exactly how it feels when you're doing it all from the head only. And then when you drop into your heart with your business, it's like putting that powerful horse in front of the carriage and you jumping on, and it inspiring you and pulling you, and this new fresh energy comes. So my teachers in mentoring really can attest to that, and really, feedback that that's exactly what happens with them. So this whole knowing your heart, honoring it, unveiling it to you and yourself, your beauty in this teaching. Formulating a high joy, authentic vision, and then taking step by step a journey through what, can be the jungle of self-employment, the jungle of teaching and self-employment that can be really rather arduous at times. And as a mentor, I'm your Sherpa in this journey. So we create a roadmap, we learn how to use tools, we learn that your heart's your compass on this crazy-ass adventure, this journey of teaching. And we understand what these scary sounds at night are, what these animals and beasts are, and we understand how to protect ourselves from the demons that go on in here for all of us, and how to manage that, which goes back to point one, managing emotions and beliefs. And this is the journey. This is what mentoring does. So it's very hard to do all of this on your own. Very often, because we're sort of so trapped inside the cell of our own matrix, that it does take this loving attention from the outside of someone who's knowledgeable and an experienced and an expert at this to be that Sherpa. So that's kind of how I see myself in the mentoring. I never tell my students what to do. I guide them to their own inner guidance. I give them the skills and the practice needed to get them in touch with their heart, and then we start working together on how to get that out into the world and their community. So number 4 is knowing your craft. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It includes teaching method. It includes correct, efficient, correctly structured curriculum. It includes Also how to run business, and so the business side of things doesn't get on top of you and snow you under like happens to so many of my beautiful teachers that come to me for mentoring. We need to know that the toolkit you have, the backpack on this journey of the teacher journey through the jungle, through the desert, through the the crazy um, journey of self-employment, is the backpack is full of the correct tools, the tools you're going to need, and every twist and turn. And what's happening in class is central. You're a teacher, and most most teachers I come across, whether they have no experience yet teaching or they've got 10 years, they don't have a correct, efficient, structurally sound way of delivering, especially the foundation of the dance, classical form, that is the mother form for all the other beautiful forms that are out there. How to break it down, how to string it along a timeline, the first year of your student's journey with you, how to make sure and ensure you've got your student retention nice and strong. So all your beautiful marketing and branding and marketing that we learn to do together, actually when it works and it brings your people in, that you're retaining them and you don't have a lot of beginner loss, which is it's a massive problem for schools, and it's a waste of energy because you've got all this energy into the marketing, so we want to retain the students. So what you're doing in class and what you're not doing is paramount, is central. And do you have a balance of the masculine and feminine in what you're doing, or is it just, again, the patriarchal way, just straight technique, more technique, choreography after choreography? Women are not robots. They've been attracted to this thing called a belly dance class. They've come to class. That means they have a creative side to them, even whether they don't know it. Like a lot of students will say, I've got not a creative bone in my body. But you're in a belly dance class, so there is, and we'll find it, and we'll bring it out, and the dance will bring it out, and the music will bring it out, and the costuming will bring it out, and your teacher will bring it out, because she knows how to do that. And you need to learn how to teach them self-expression through the dance. So there's so much that goes on in terms of your craft, but that is a very important point. And nearly every teacher who comes to me or aspiring teacher definitely needs a lot of help in this area. Okay, so the fifth and last of the top 5 areas of struggle and challenge that I come across with teachers globally is leadership, stepping into loving authority, and managing personalities. Obviously, this tends to affect more once they've started class and they've attracted certain people into the class, and there's this attraction that happens with personalities. And sometimes I get teachers who call me, and they're in quite some strife around the dynamics that are going on in class. This is actually rather prevalent and quite an issue. You are dealing with women, and women with women in a full kind of women's environment. They can behave in a certain way sometimes. Then say maybe they might not behave in an office or where there's it's like something that goes on, like sometimes like girls on a playground, circles of girls and the stuff that goes on. This stuff can happen in class, and it can happen when teacher hasn't stepped into her role as authority figure in the class, and tends to be, this tends to happen, I find, with ladies that I mentor, especially very kind, very giving, very generous, very sensitive, very empathic. Number one, usually empaths, sensitives, and it tends to be always an issue with boundaries. So it's often the case that these patterns with these personalities tends to be in other parts of their lives as well, these teachers. So it's not just in class, of course, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So this is a big thing. It's not a lot of people talk about it, but it does come to me for mentoring, and it can actually make people close down their schools. So it can be a big thing. It can be a small thing, just simply irritated in class. I'm being irritated by the student and I just don't know how to, put her in a place. I don't know how to stop it. There's that. And so there's managing sort of the human element of what's going on in class and her leadership, and that's as well a process, because as it tends to pertain directly to boundaries, personal boundaries is a big subject, and it tends to be an issue to do with how much the woman is in her own power and her relationship to her own power and her relationship to being seen in her power. And these kind of areas of her inner terrain and landscape can have very old roots. So we lovingly shed light on these areas and bring this beautiful teacher into her power. So these are the main areas that I find affect teachers across the world, and it's really, really important to understand this point that I'm just going to make. No builder in his right mind or her right mind, no architect in his or her right mind would try to build a house, a structure, without years of study, apprenticeship, experience, and then start to do it. It's flawed to think, okay, I've been studying belly dance for a number of years and I'm just going to start teaching it. Why does that happen? It's not correct for yourself, for your students, for the women in your community, and for the dance itself. We need excellence in what we do. We need excellence in our craft and curriculum, in our teaching method, in our leadership, and the way we show up. The way we show up in our business, our teaching business, the way we show up in class, the way we show up for the women and girls in our class, the way we show up for the dance, the way we show up for our hearts. For our hearts. By and large, every teacher I speak to in a more advanced level of her teacher journey, she got disconnected somewhere down the line from her feminine aspects of her teaching, from her pleasure, from her self-care, from her nurturance for herself and her students, from her heart and vision and true vision. and just got bogged down. We don't want you to get there. It's hard to crawl out of that space. It takes so much more energy to put your pieces back together when you're in that place of burnout. Every single person I know who's burnt out, including myself multiple times, I've been a chronic burn-outer. So I'm very qualified to talk about burnout. They miss the signs along the way, miss the red flags, miss the warning bells, miss the heat. There's heat going on. The temperature's rising. You got to get the hell out of that situation. You've got to get something changed in the way you are doing things. You've got to, sometimes I call it, get off the train. You've got to get off the train. The train's taking you somewhere you don't want to go. Doing things that way is not working in your teaching. You can't just keep doing it. There's a loss of energy that happens, and loss of energy on top of loss of energy on top of loss of energy. You know, it's like the cup, your cup gets emptied, and then you hit rock bottom. It's very hard to put your pieces back together again at that point. So there's prevention we can do that's so much easier than the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual cure that's needed, like at that pointy end later on. So what we want to do on your teacher journey is give you those tools, fill up your backpack with the right tools. So you're not even getting there, you're not even getting anywhere near there. And your structures are correct. So back to the builder and the architect. When it's like if you have a crack appear in your home, and it's your home, you own it, you get a structural engineer in. You bring them in and you say, please have a look at this crack. Is there a shift going on in the structure of the house? Is something happening? Do we need to bolster it up somewhere? What's going on? Because that crack can actually lead to bigger things. Sometimes, you know, roofs fall in because structural faults weren't caught early. So I love it when teachers come to me pre-teaching, because belly dancing from the heart method sets them up straight from the start. Every single of the 5 struggles, you know, the belly dancing from the heart method covers them in extreme detail. So we get the foundations of her building, her teaching, the building of her teaching down really well up front. When you're in your mid journey, the cracks have appeared. Pay attention. Get present. Get really present with yourself. Get really present with your teaching, with what's going on in class. Get really present with the beautiful women and girls in your class. What's happening? Feel it. If there's any negative emotion going on, of anything, irritation, frustration, overwhelm, then we start so it gets worse, because energy doesn't stop, it moves. Energy doesn't stand still, it moves. It's either moving up or it's spiraling down. It's got one of 2 directions it's going to go. So yeah, just would love to get that message to you. Just feel the red flags. Don't brush them under the rug. It never ends well when we brush the red flags under the rug. Don't cut off from your gut feel. And reach out, because we have a DIY culture. It's crazy. It's like, it's just what I said with the crack in the building. You call in the structural engineer or a builder and you say, please have a look at this. What the hell's going on? Right? And they'll go, oh, look, we'll bolster it up here and we'll put something down underneath here and we'll cement this up and render it and paint it and it'll be back to new and you'll be fine. That's what's needed so much in our teacher journey. So I would be honored if you would like me to be that Sherpa for you, and we create a roadmap just for you that is true to your heart, so you can beam your soul out to the world through your teaching, through everything that the world sees is infused with you. That's where you don't run out of steam. That's how come people don't burn out, because they just know how, or they got help in learning how to do things right in terms of curriculum and teaching method and all the outer skills, but the inner skills as well of infusing your creative self-expression into everything you're doing, your branding, your marketing, your messaging, your website, your FB presence, everything. That's how then when people love your classes, they're loving that part of you, and it feels so good. And it feels like you're putting that out there and it's coming back. And you're putting the love out there and it's coming back. Yeah? And you're putting the energy out there and they're sending it back to you by paying you. So it's like love and energy back in payment so that you can keep doing what you're doing. Right? So that is my mission with teachers. And to, of course, as well, propagate correct way of teaching our beautiful dance in the beautiful classical Egyptian mother form, which is at the base of all the other fusion styles and on all the other styles that come basically from that. If you don't give your students that base foundation, you can't be jumping on to other things with them. So I've put a beautiful package together for you. And let's make this time that's coming a time where we can prepare the soil together for you and get that soil ready so you can put the seeds of your dream teaching into that soil. And the soil is, pH balanced and the fertilizer's in there and it's had time to break down and it's got enough, it's in a good position, it's got good sun and good water, and we'll get these lovely seeds that spring out forth from inside of you, that are true to you. And we put them in this beautiful soil and nurture them together so that we make sure you stay on track and keep momentum going until your vision manifests.
Hello everyone. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank goodness for the belly dancing from the heart method. Shemiran did such a great job at creating this curriculum for teachers. I was not, when I started to teach belly dancing, just to go back, for probably a good 9-10 years, I just did it my way, meaning I would go to conferences or conventions and learn from the best of the best and take that and then kind of just make my own little curriculum and then teach it. And it was so much work to do, so much. So it was so time consuming. And then when I found belly dancing from the heart method, heaven, I am in heaven, because it made my life so much easier. It's the best that's out there. I've searched and searched for many years, and this is it. This is what helped me to make my studio, my dance classes much easier. And so I have more time for me because I just had to follow that curriculum. So for those of you who are taking this program, thumbs up. You're gonna enjoy it, and it's gonna make your life way much easier. Thank you, Shimi. I want to take this moment to say a huge thanks to Shimi. She really helped me to guide my destiny with my business, because I was kind of unsure and not clear where I was gonna go. And you know, because I had a dance studio, and I wasn't sure if I should close it or should I was really undecisive, and I really needed someone to kind of guide me, and she gave me the best guidance. She's such a great coach. She has such great insight, and not only insight, but she's so intuitive, and her guidance was a piece of heaven that I needed to direct my business where I personally and spiritually need to go, you know. And I so thankful. I'll keep using her service, but this is just a shout out to Shimi. Thank you. I love you, and I appreciate your coaching. It means a lot to me. A big thanks again. Mwah.
So I hope to be spending this coming time this year with you. Let's make 2019 the best year yet. And let's just make it the year where you really get in touch with your heart and you beam it out into the world, into the community around you. And, you know, just fill your life with the joy of teaching belly dance, and fill the lives of the women and the girls in your community with the alchemy, the beauty, the healing, the passion, the thrill, the excitement of our beautiful, beloved dance, belly dance. Thank you. Thanks for your time, and check out the special offer, and I'll see you real soon. Lots of love.